Now, I would like to invite to the stage to Mr. Mario Draghi, Prime Minister of Italy government, Okalani Mariner. She is youth participant for Italy, Mr. Roberto Cingolani, Minister of Ecological Transition of Italy, and Mr. Acme Steiner, UNDP Administrator. We are very excited to have a discussion with you all. For now, we have heard different realities that young people face, and we have heard about the work we do, the challenge we have, and what is urgent for us to achieve climate justice. Because including us in a meaningful and real ways is getting closer to the climate justice. The session will be moderated by Minister Cingolani. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So guys, many thanks for convening here today. I spoke already this morning to most of the young people. I will not spend so much time in repeating what I already told. I think this short meeting now is to witness how serious is the effort we're doing for Youth4Climate Forever. This is something we really want to stress. And the fact that we have our Prime Minister and the Director of UNDP and also a young witness of the activists, it really wants to be a signal that we do this for real. So I will not take your time anymore. I just leave the floor now to the Director of the UNDP, Hakim Steiner, for the first intervention. And thank you for the support you gave us during the organization, because this is the Italian government plus UNDP, UNDP plus Italian government. And if this is possible, it is because of this collaboration. Thank you very much, Hakim.
Prime Minister Draghi, what a pleasure, what an honor to have you here, and to my dear friend Roberto, to all of us on the stage here this morning, thank you for being here. I was taking a look around just now and I thought, well, there are a lot of young at heart people also in this room here, because what I wanted to start off with is to say that I thank both the Italian government, your administration, Roberto also, and many of your colleagues, for the vision of understanding how important it is to have the voice of youth not only present as a kind of curtain raiser or as a companion, but as part of designing the kind of climate response that the world is now desperately looking for. And the conference that you organized in Milan was one of those moments when you saw, and I think you yourself came out of that meeting, convinced that if we often invoke young people when it comes to climate change, it cannot only be in the way that we have done it for so long, which is to sometimes invite them in the room and then let them go out of the room again, while the adults, in inverted commas, try to solve the world's problems. And yet, what I hope we can foster with these kinds of meetings, and hopefully next year in Rome again, is the spirit that allows young people to co-create, co-design, and ultimately also shape the kinds of responses that are needed in order to deal with the intransigence, the inertia, the doubts, the many setbacks that we are experiencing when it comes to acting on climate change. In so doing, you will sometimes come to these meetings and wonder whether you're actually investing your time in the right place. But let me tell you, we need action on all fronts. What is happening today in the General Assembly Hall is that you have a Secretary General who is speaking to the world in terms and with clarity about climate change that no other Secretary General has ever spoken of before. What you have is a growing number of countries also joining in the chorus and saying we cannot go on as we have done, and are actually leading the kind of change that I know many of you hopefully will also get some hope and some optimism from, because change is possible and change is happening. In fact, to my left sits a Minister of Environment who maybe a few years ago never thought that he would be Minister of Environment because he wasn't a politician. You put him into this position and said to him, here is the single largest stimulus package ever in the history of Italy to green Italy's economy, which has been in many ways the responsibility under the leadership of your prime ministership to actually inject into Italy the kind of transformation that will make Italy's economy 3 years, 5 years down the line, a different economy. All of you in this room here come from many different realities, many countries. And let me also tell you, one of the privileges of working as the head of the United Nations Development Program is to get to know what is happening in the world, because we work with 170 countries every day on the ground. And for many of your countries, there are things happening now that are also the seeds of transformation. How do we bring it together? How do we create alliances? How do you keep on also designing the kinds of interventions that you have already spoken to this morning that are part of the network that you represent? And I hope that in coming together here today, you will also get some courage. It is not just normal for a prime minister to walk out of the General Assembly Hall on the first day and come and join you here. Prime Minister Draghi, I want to also explicitly give you credit because I represent the United Nations in the finance ministers and central bank governors track. I have been attending these meetings for almost 5 years now. And more often than not, I leave in slightly more despair than hope, I have to say, because the ability of those who essentially drive the blood in the veins of our global economy, namely finance ministers, central bank governors, for a long time thought climate change has very little to do with them. During your presidency of the G20, you have recreated the kind of spirit, attention, and focus on climate change that was sorely missing for the last 4 years. I attended the meetings in Venice. I saw also the kind of summit focus that you brought to it, including addressing some of the core issues that need to be addressed if you're going to change the way our economies deal with the threat of climate change. But let me end with my remarks just to say that for UNDP, that works with young people across the world, and even in my previous capacity, I used to head the United Nations Environment Program. I have found in young people across the world, not only the greatest allies about the kinds of issues we want to tackle, but also often the most imaginative, innovative, and risk-willing and risk-taking colleagues that I can think of. So welcome to this partnership. And above all, please don't be passive partners. You are the ones who are going to drive this train. And here we are sitting to listen to you, to be guided by you, and hopefully to form an alliance with you that will change the future of the world. Thank you so much. Oh, sorry.
All right. So thank you, Kim. This was really heartfelt. Thank you. Mario, as usual, we have a witness of the constituencies, one of the young people that are bringing here the history of a commitment. Today, on the stage, we have Okalan Mariner. She is a counselor for the rights of kids and young adults and a spokesperson of the group for 350 Pacific climate warriors from the Samoa Islands, if I understand correctly. So, stage is yours and let us dream.
Aloha love and greetings. Again, my name is Okalani Marina, and I am from the small islands of Samoa, right in the center of the Pacific. Today, before I start, I would like to tell you a little bit about myself. When I was 17, I co-founded the first environmental student body at the National University of Samoa, Lanulau'ava Student Association. I wanted to create a youth-led organization that raised the awareness about the effect and impact of climate change on small island developing states, as well as provide a platform that empowers youth to actively work against climate change and amplify their voices. What I know is this: my generation does not want to lay down and die. We will learn where we can fight, and we will fight. Our organization took up many activities to help the youth learn where we could make a difference. We brought together young girls from across the country to encourage their pursuit in STEM education so that they could one day become future leaders of our movement. We organized teenagers to literally pick up trash from off the beaches every weekend, and we participated in tree planting initiatives to support reforestation efforts within our country. We will not give up. For countless generations, Indigenous communities have played an essential role in the creation and stewardship of natural resources. As the original caretakers and custodians of the land and sea, we knew which seasons to forest and harvest. We knew when to fish for food in order to allow, we knew when to forage for food in order to allow Mother Nature time to regrow and reproduce. For years, we lived as stewards of the land, not as owners. As we know now, that dynamic has changed, but we can change it again, and in time, for the better. Sitting among us today are government leaders and people in high standing, but you are supposed to be more than that, aren't you? You are supposed to be parents, grandparents, and guardians of the next generation, my generation. You are meant to be the leaders we look up to, the ones currently responsible for building a future for us. You who say that you want to give us the world, but what world will there be left for us to protect if you do not take act now? Our dreaded future, your dreaded future, is our present. Look no further than our brothers and sisters in the islands, Tuvalu, Kiribati, the Marshall Islands, Tokelau, to see it in real time. The effects of increased global temperatures and sea level rise, record king tides and prolonged rainfalls, islands whose children are missing, carried with the next tsunami or storm, whose mothers are drowned because of flash floods, crumbling riverbanks and cascading debris, whose fathers are rebuilding houses and seawalls only to see the ocean moving closer and closer to their door, whose brothers must survive and farm to survive, but each year returning with a smaller and smaller yield, whose people are dying because the increase in cyclones, hurricanes, and natural disasters threatening families, homes, and livelihoods. And even in the face of all that, I urge you to look again to the same islands for hope and resilience. Look to my people in the Pacific, who collectively contribute less than 0.03% to greenhouse gas emissions, and yet are pioneering renewable energy practices within our communities. I urge you specifically to turn to the youth who want to live and thrive in a world where we are not fighting to stay above water. We have no choice but to live in the world you have made. I am a young Pacific climate warrior, and I am not drowning in the next king tide. I am fighting. I have the fire of my ancestors in my belly and the voices of thousands of young Pacific Islanders at my shoulders. There is a proverb in Samoa, "Oletele o sulu e maua I fingota, e maamasia venga peata amo fatasi." My strength does not come from me alone, but from many. And we will not sit back and wait for our region to be overrun by irrevocable climate catastrophe. We are organizing and building resilience within our communities, and we will continue to call out the destructive fossil fuel industry and all those who bankroll our extinction. You will not profit from our grief. And at the same time, as I stand here in front of you all, amazing leaders, I am so proud to see that despite all the odds being stacked against us, we continue to reimagine what the future looks like and what the future we deserve looks like, to share knowledge on equitable and just solutions, hold space for climate grief, and mobilize people power to create our own solutions to this crisis. There's a saying among my people, even the mighty need others. Even the mighty need others. Leaders, you need us because we see hope where you may see defeat, where you may see difficulty of phasing out fossil fuels. We see the opportunity for innovation and justice. Join us, continue to invest in us, collaborate with us. Thank you.
Thank you. That was very, very interesting. Thank you very much. And now I would like to leave the stage to Mario Draghi, the Prime Minister of Italy, for concluding this session and for the final message. Thank you, Mario.
Thank you. Good morning to you all. I'm actually addressing these words more than these people are here, which are grown-ups, to everybody who's behind there. I mean, the ones who are less than, say, 25, maybe 26. Okay, doesn't. Well, I'm very glad to be back at Youth4Climate today. During last year's event in Milan, more than 400 young women and men from all over the world came together to work with the policymakers to discuss how best to tackle climate change. Were you there? Who was there? Good. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back. It's good to see you again. The meeting placed young people at the heart of a debate and in a strong position to shape discussions at the ensuing COP26. It helped channel support for youth engagement at a local, national, and international level. I'm extremely proud of Italy's leadership on this initiative, Italy's and Roberto. On the back last year's success, we decided to make the meeting an yearly event in close collaboration with the United Nations. Thank you. I'm proud to announce that Italy will co-lead the Global Youth4Climate Action Hub in partnership with the United Nations Development Program. It will be a great way to connect young climate leaders with policymakers to ensure you continue to play an active role in policy discussions on climate change. We also aim to create new opportunities for you to expand your network, develop your ideas, grow your projects. I'm fully aware of your expectations and your great hunger for change. Both are extremely welcome. We need to do better, and we need to do it faster. We are counting on you to help us reach the Sustainable Development Goals and implement the Paris Agreement. Your connection to your communities, your ability to find innovative solutions, your determination to build more sustainable societies are needed today more than ever. We are keen to listen to your ideas and your projects, and I wish you all a successful event. Let me just add one word from what I understood from Roberto's explanation that I had a minute ago about what you are doing and what he's helped you, or he's helping him and will help you to do in the future. He explained to me, well, first, let me start from the fact that you are, as people say, you are the witnesses of the future. You are going to tell our successors and ourselves, as a matter of fact, until we last, whether we are meeting the targets, whether we are complying with our promises, whether we are keeping our word that we gave you on various occasions like this one. And he insisted on having you do fact checks. There is a platform, and he's sort of told you, because that's his inclination. I mean, he works with data essentially, but I think he works also with hearts, because he has talked to you and you somehow adopted him. You took him by hand in this effort. So you're going to do fact checking, and we're going to listen. You're going to hold us to account, and we and our future successors will listen to you, and we'll have to respond. So this dialogue in the future is what's going to make a huge difference in terms of policies, in terms of government responses to your messages. Thank you all.
Yeah, it's all finished. Goodbye. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much, everybody.